All right, today we're going to simplify radicals. Radicals are basically we're talking about square roots. All right, so we're going to write it in the simplest radical form. We've done this before, so you guys should be all right with it. But we're going to take square root, and we'll do square root of 18, okay? Square root of 18 is not in the simplest radical form. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to divide out, or take that guy and turn him into two other numbers. One that's a perfect square and the other one that is not a perfect square. So our perfect squares are 1 squared, which is 1, 2 squared, which is 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144, 169, 196, 225, 256, 289, and so on and so forth. So these are the ones that we're looking to divide into. So you can start, you want to make sure you start with the largest one. So square root of 18 is square root of 9 times the square root of 2. That is very important. The perfect square goes here. Alright, so our perfect square goes there. That way when we simplify, square root of 9 is just 3. And then we're left with 3 times the square root of 2. Alright, so we're going to do some other ones. Alright, so we have the square root of 32. Alright, so you need to divide in all these perfect squares, and 32 is square root of 16 times the square root of 2. And the square root of 16 is 4. And we're left with square root of 2. Alright, so let's do just a couple of more, and then we'll get into more complicated ones. Alright, so we have the square root of 200. Okay, square root of 200. So we're looking for those perfect squares. It ends up being 100 times 2, which gives us 200, and then square root of 100 is 10. We're left with square root of 2. Alright, to get a little bit more complicated, okay, we're going to do some square root times a square root. Square root of 18 times square root of 12. Alright, so in this case, you can actually multiply. So if you get your calculators out, you can do 18 times 12. That's 216. Alright, so 216. And then in this case, we would want to, first thing is check square root of 216. Alright, that does not give me anything. So I'm going to start looking for those perfect squares. Alright, so we're going to do 216 divided by 36 gives me 6. So this guy is changing the square root of 36 times the square root of 6, and 36 is just 6 times the square root of 6. Alright. A couple of more. On here we have 2 square roots of 27 times 4 square roots of 12. Alright, so we're multiplying these two together. We are going to rearrange it. 2 times 4 times square root of 27 times the square root of 12. This gives me 8 square roots. And then you can do 27 times 12. Gives you 324. Alright, so in this case, 324, we're going to look for the square root of 324. Okay, so it happens to be 18. So make sure you check that first. Don't just go for dividing in. Make sure you check the square root first, and then you can go. So this is 8 times 18. When we multiply by 8, that gives me 144. Alright, so make sure you're checking for those square roots. The other ones that we're going to get into are where we have the square root of 5 squared. Okay, so this is basically what we have: square root of 5 times the square root of 5. This is the square root of 25, which ends up simplifying to just 5. All right, I get a little more complicated than that. We have square root of, let's say, we'll do 2 square roots of 8. And then we are going to end up squaring it. So this is the case where you get 2 square roots of 8 times 2 square roots of 8. 2 times 2 is 4. Square roots of 64, because 8 times 8 is 64. This is 4 times 8, which is 32. All right, so that's what we're looking for, is being able to do all these different types of square roots. We're going to do division in another lesson, but this one is